As someone born in the late 90s, I feel perfectly positioned to have truly enjoyed games from each era, right? I wasn't too late to worship and enjoy the classics, having played games like the original Super Mario Bros. Or Tetris on the Game Boy, and throughout my journey to adulthood, I had the absolute privilege of watching gaming undergo its most significant graphical and technical improvements in live time. With my experience and reverence for each gaming era, I thought it would be fun to end the year by sharing with you my 26 most beloved games in 26 minutes. Maybe you'll find your next game or be reminded of a fond gaming memory from years ago. Regardless, thank you for being here and let's get into it. Kicking us off at 26 is Pokemon Diamond. So I actually used to be a religious Pokemon enjoyer, starting with Pokemon Blue and going all the way through Pokemon Y. While the series has seemingly fallen off a cliff in terms of innovation and quality, the positive sensations from earlier entries still remain. I think I'd have this one as my favorite for two reasons. It has my favorite legendary ever in Dialga, and it has perhaps the most iconic boss theme and fight in the entire series, Champion Cynthia. Were I to say which one would be my second favorite, it would probably be Pokemon Y, solely due to the introduction of Mega Evolutions. I thought that was cool as shit at the time. Side note, feel free to comment your favorite Pokemon legendary or otherwise. I'd love to hear what it is. For me, it's Squirtle and the aforementioned Dialga. Let's move along though. At 25, I have Hogwarts Legacy. For me, while this game is pretty basic in a lot of ways, I think that they did an exceptional job on two components of this game. I think Hogwarts itself was beautifully executed, and the atmosphere around there in Hogsmeade really eased the narrative transportation of feeling like a Hogwarts student. Even if the map was a bit devoid of player relationships and meaningful NPC interactions, due to how much attention to detail went into Hogwarts, that does compensate for that a little bit. The other component I felt was exceptional is the traversal. I absolutely adored the feeling of moving through the map. I thought the brooms gave such a profound feeling of momentum, and I appreciated the inclusion of mounts to freshen up and add variety to moving around even more. Add a punchy combat system with a good amount of spells, and this game simply did a great job scratching that wizard itch many people of my generation probably felt growing up with the Harry Potter movies.
Stupid boy. Do you find this, Anna? Oh. Curse you.
Coming in at 24 is Jedi Knight Jedi Academy. The fact that they made such an exceptionally fun combat system back in 2003 and never really followed up on it, it's a shame. This was pure, unadulterated fun. My brothers and I would spend hours in multiplayer dueling with each other in bots for bragging rights. Etched into my memories are countless remember when moments that I share with my siblings of lightsaber duels and final second comebacks. There was a huge map variety and multiple different game modes you could dip your toes in. Add on top of that, a character creation tool and a genuinely good Star Wars story and campaign, and Jedi Knight Jedi Academy is definitely one of them ones. I think this is also a good example of something that's been lost to time in gaming in general. Growing up, the question my brothers and I would always ask before getting a game is, does it have split screen? Or how many players is it? And now I just feel like that isn't really a thing anymore, which is so sad. Let me know in the comments if I'm missing something and split screen is still a common gaming format that people have access to. I'd just be curious to know if I just have a blind spot in my knowledge. Next up at 23 is Diddy Kong Racing. I had to include this one because it's my all-time favorite racing game. I think for me I was between this and Burnout 3 Takedown, but Diddy Kong Racing, it just has something special. It was the originator of multi-vehicular racing, and the weapons were beyond satisfying to mess around with. Add on to that many iconic boss fights and you've got an underrated classic. This game clears Mario Kart for me so easily, it's actually crazy. My number 22 is Darksiders 2, and I feel like this game is super underrated. It's just fun. For those unfamiliar with Darksiders 2, in the most simplest sense, gameplay-wise, it's similarly structured to Zelda. So you have dungeons where there's combat and puzzles to solve so that you can progress. An open world connects these dungeons and you ride your horse around the map. I think this game holds a special place in my heart because the main character, Death, is for me the pound for pound number one when it comes to most aura in video game history. You don't know aura farming until you've seen Death get busy. 21 is another game I spent countless hours playing with my brothers, and that is X-Men Legends. So X-Men Legends was kind of the first major take on the game style that you see in the Marvel Ultimate Alliance series. So you have a huge cast of characters and they all have different playstyles and powers, and you have the free will to choose which one that you would like to use. You brawl through a story with levels and challenge rooms for more arcadey fun. The combat stayed fresh because different characters could execute different combos together, so it was fun to try to time power usages with the people you were playing with. What's dope about the challenge rooms, by the way, is they played them off as simulations or memories for you to play through for the different characters. So in essence, the challenges are different comic book storylines and unlock new cosmetics for your crew. It was such a complete and comprehensive game and so much fun. For anyone else who played this game, let me know which character was your main. For me, I always used Cyclops, my brother used Storm, and my other brother used Iceman.
You see? Violence is all humanity has to offer us.
Doesn't he ever shut up?
Look!
Next, kicking off the top 20 is Dragon Age Inquisition. While this game is imperfect, for me, it checked the boxes that needed to be checked. It had a lore-dense world and characters and events that would change based upon your actions. It had an interesting cast of characters and a wonderful main antagonist that was handled in a creative way. I personally enjoyed this one in spite of its flaws. You just kind of need to have a movement speed mod of sort because this game's runtime is certainly inflated by the insanely slow mount speed in its spread out open world. But flaws like these aside, this game really did exceptionally in serving as a nice power fantasy. I particularly enjoyed sitting the throne and casting judgments for the crimes of different characters quite a bit. It's a shame none of this ended up mattering though, due to a colossal war crime against humanity that is called the Veilguard, but alas.
Do? I did nothing. The credit is yours.
At least this is good for something.
Whatever magic opened the breach in the sky also placed that mark upon your hand. I theorized the mark might be able to close the rifts that have opened in the breach's wake. And it seems I was correct.
Meaning it could also close the breach itself.
Possibly. It seems you hold the key to our salvation.
For my number 19 slot, I went with Super Mario Sunshine. I think Mario is probably the quintessential video game experience. It took me a while to decide which one to include in my list, but ultimately I went with the GameCube classic, though Super Mario 3D Land was close on its heels. I think there's something about the island setting and the super unique inclusion of water as a gameplay mechanic that puts it on top for me. Additionally, as a huge fan of Yoshi, I appreciated this being the first 3D Mario to truly include Yoshi in earnest rather than just locking him away as an Easter egg on top of the castle. At number 18 is Mario Strikers, which is unironically the best soccer game in the history of video games. Yes, it clears FIFA, no, I'm not joking. It somehow manages to perfectly blend the arcadey bliss and energy of Mario while also encouraging and rewarding soccer IQ. One-touch passes, give and goes, and positioning our king, and rewarded through the implementation of the perfect pass system. When you play an advantageous passing lane, the ball takes on a different color and pace and allows you to hit a vicious one-timer. Also, Yoshi's the GOAT. At number 17, we have a game that shamefully gets zero recognition due to its multitude of issues at launch. The thing was a mess in terms of performance, frame rate, glitches, you name it. With that said, I was one of the lucky few who didn't encounter any issues, so I was able to enjoy the game for what it was, and it was truly, truly amazing. I think this is probably a top 2 or 3 Star Wars story across the entire IP. In addition to that, the side content was intriguing and engaging as well. The gameplay was fun and gave a ton of room to player expression with 5 different lightsaber styles and a diverse enemy pool. All around an excellent game in my opinion. If this hits a sale, I recommend giving this a try for sure.
Not until the Jedi Council gave the order to abandon Tanalorr and then refused to counterattack.
They gave up on it?
Yes. It was my discovery, my home, and they just expected me to throw it away?
Dagan, wait.
I refused to obey and was betrayed by the one I trusted most.
No, stop!
What have you done?
Coming up at number 16, we have The Elder Scrolls Skyrim, and I don't know, is this the most culturally relevant game of the past 26 years? I really think it might just be. It's a meme at this point how many times in systems it has re-released on, but at the end of the day, this game, I'm sure, harbors unique memories for many. I won't spend a lot of time here because we all know what Skyrim is, but I'll just share a few of my favorites from this game. My favorite weapon was a Dawnbreaker. I would always dual wield that and a Daedric sword. My favorite spell was Fireball, and my favorite shout was Elemental Fury. I would love to hear some of your favorites in the comment section, be it your favorite questline or armor or otherwise. Beginning our top 15 is The Legend of Zelda. So you may have caught on by now, but for series like Zelda and Mario, I wanted to only include one. Otherwise the list would have multiple games from the same series, which is a bit boring in my opinion. For me, the overlooked Spirit Tracks is indeed my favorite Zelda game of them all. I think there's a certain special whimsical charm that you get with this game. You get references to the Wind Waker and a beautiful relationship between Link and Zelda that grows over the course of the game. I think this is the most involved Zelda that we have in a mainline game in the entire series, as she's routinely interwoven into the gameplay and narratively speaking is by your side in a spectral form throughout the entire journey. Her character arc is lovely, and the villains actually are not Ganon or Ganondorf, so it's a bit of a refreshing take actually. Compelling stuff. Next at number 14 is Kirby Air Ride. Honestly, I never thought this gem would get a sequel, but Lord Sakurai went out of his way to deliver a follow-up 22 years later, which is pretty cool. But about the original, my brothers and I spent most of our time in City Trial, which is actually kind of hard to explain. In the most basic sense, you play on a dynamic map with randomized events and you go around collecting power-ups. There are up to 3 other players on the same map that you can fight as well to make sure that you are on top. After this, there is a randomized challenge event in which you take your power-ups from City Trial into. Whoever wins this event wins the actual match. I don't know. I feel like this game is the most you just have to play it to understand it type of game. Just trust me, it was peak. At number 13, we have The World Is Not Enough, which was certainly my first shooter and which certainly formed some of my earliest gaming memories. Now, I know you might be looking at me like I'm crazy here, but this is exactly what I meant in the intro. Since I was born when I was born, I was able to unironically play this without thinking to myself about the graphics or clunky mechanics. It was just fun. The story was faithful to the movie it was based on, and the split-screen multiplayer took up most of our time with great gun variety and an integral inclusion of bots. This and games like it, however, do probably fall into the you just had to be there category, given just how dated it is now. At number 12 is the venerable original Star Wars Battlefront 2. I think what made this game so replayable was the huge variety of maps and the inclusion of 12 different soldier types and 19 different heroes. No 2 matches were ever the same, and I think that's so important. It probably feels like these days Star Wars just doesn't produce many games, and when they do, they leave a lot to be desired, but there was a time in the 2000s where it felt like, for the most part, Star Wars games were all hits and they came year after year, and this was certainly one of them. Yes, indeed, number 11 is Clair Obscur. Please put the pitchforks away and remember that this ranking is for my most cherished games. I love every single game on this list. I clearly love Clair Obscur, given how much time and energy I've put into understanding its story and given it the attention and analysis it deserves. But at the end of the day, there are just simply 10 other games that mean more to me from a more personal perspective. Let's move along though, because I feel like I probably don't need to talk about this game here, and if you want to hear me talk about this game, then please look at any of my last 10 uploads, though those are for people who have finished the game, so be warned. I think my top 10 would be incomplete without Call of Duty Warzone. For me, this game will always be synonymous with COVID and how it allowed me and my closest friends to remain connected and hang out every day. It's that simple. Watch this clutch though before we move on.
2v1. You got board rockets in zone. Fuck. Wow, okay. Wait. Alright, what the fuck, man?
Let's go. Needed that one.
At number 9, I have Fire Emblem Three Houses. I kind of feel like for me, this game is a symbol of everything wrong with Nintendo's addiction to exclusivity. I think it's an absolute shame that so many RPG lovers never experienced this game due to the fact it's console bound to the Switch, and also how Nintendo never puts any sales on or marks down games. Three Houses was an intricate story with not one, not two, but 4 unique story routes for you to play through to get a full grasp of all the moving pieces on the narrative board. The characters were diverse and varied in terms of depth, but at the same time, even the most surface level characters had the capability to spellbind your heart. Looking at you, Gatekeeper. Gameplay was completely tactical, meaning that using your brain and preparing your troops were the main routes to victory. An RPG that deserved more access than it could be afforded as an exclusive Nintendo title. Here at number 8 is one of the games that I've probably logged the most hours in my lifetime. I'm just going to say Smash Bros, since I've played literally every single one, and it would feel weird excluding any, but if I had to choose one as my absolute favorite, then it would probably be Brawl. I spent the most hours in this one, and I don't know, it was just the game. I don't have much to say on this, honestly, so I'll share my mains, and I would love to hear all of yours. In Smash 64, it was Yoshi, and in Brawl, it was Link. In each of the other entries, including Brawl's Project M, my main was Roy. Please comment below who your main was if you ever played Smash Bros. I would love to hear it. Number 7 is Fire Emblem Awakening. This was the game that first got me into Fire Emblem, and I was a teenager when this dropped, and this game's climax still to this day has left an indelible mark on my soul. So I feel really comfortable placing it here, and it would feel wrong to slot this into one slot with Fire Emblem Three Houses. While the story was a quintessential JRPG stylistically, it didn't matter because it was one of my first. I loved the freedom of player expression that could take place with the social link system. Basically, you got to decide which units ended up forming close relationships with each other, and minor spoilers here, but you would actually get certain new units later in the game solely based upon what relationships you had your OG units forming. Since there were 13 possible different late game units you could get, this added a ton of replay value as different unit pairings could grant you access to different new units later in the game. I don't know, I really enjoyed this aspect. At number 6 is Prince of Persia 2008. My love for this game was actually documented in a 9-minute video already, so I will keep this short and just say that you should play it if you want to vibe and relax. At number 5 is the Monster Hunter series. Here's the thing. Monster Hunter Tri was my gateway to the series. Monster Hunter 4U introduced my favorite monster in Gore Magala. Monster Hunter World is probably where I spent the most hours across the series, so I'm saving the space for the series in general because I can't pick. For those unfamiliar with the appeal of Monster Hunter, it capitalizes on the coolest part of video games, boss battles. This is the basic premise of Monster Hunter. You go on quests and you hunt big bad monsters of all different types. You then level up by crafting armors and weapons from said monsters who you carve from after you've defeated them. The gameplay is so refined and well tuned that the skill ceiling is incredibly high, and in recent iterations there's as many as 12 different weapons that you can use. Each weapon legitimately makes it feel like you're playing a different game and can take dozens of hours each to master. I have a lot of love for this series. Do me a favor, if you're a hunter as well, comment your favorite weapon and favorite monster, and comment your least favorite monster as well. I'm a longsword main, Gore Magala is my favorite as I mentioned, and Paolomu, fuck that thing, that is my least favorite monster. We are now at the point in this list where any of these 4 games could be my number 1, honestly. I think these are a tier above for me in terms of my personal affection for them. But for now, at number 4 is Metaphor Revantatio. So this is the game that's responsible for this YouTube channel. In a way, it is the most important game of my life, as it gave me a drive and purpose to create a community and safe space here on YouTube for people to discuss video games. I won't say much because I have so many videos on the game, but you can definitely take a look at this specific video if you're on the fence about playing it. There are no major spoilers in it. At number 3 is Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. I've played this game all the way through probably 40 plus times, and given its release date in 2003, it's special in the sense that I've played through it in each season of my life, so it's been almost a journey of self-reflection to see how different characters, themes, and storylines have resonated with me over time. If you think of your favorite modern RPG, it could be anything, it absolutely took or learned something from KOTOR. It was the prototype in terms of a world based around cause and effect and a crew of characters that would change and react to your actions. One of my next videos will be a complete retrospective where I analyze and talk us through the entire game, so definitely subscribe if you're interested in seeing that.
What? Blasters ready, men. This fool wants to die.
Earning the silver medal on today's list is Persona 5 Royal. This is one of the most unique experiences I've had in my entire gaming life. It's like playing through your own anime. I cannot understate how much this game captures this feeling. If you watch anime or read manga, you know that the core statutes that make the experience so unique are the amazing art, the complex layered storytelling, and the emotion-inducing music accompanying everything from quiet conversations to epic battles and climaxes. Persona 5 Royal has all of this in droves. I'd also like to add that my favorite antagonist ever is from this game, so for me, this will always be the game that has stolen my heart. At number 1, earning the gold, is Mass Effect 2. I think this game is actually perfect. It manages to be a relatively self-contained story that stands on its own while simultaneously bridging the gap seamlessly between Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 3. Every single decision you make matters in this game, right down to the micromanagement of your resources. For example, if you don't take the time to mine resources from planets around the galaxy and use them to kit out your ship with the best equipment, some of your squad mates might actually die in a dogfight in space because of it. The cast of characters are diverse and vary across different species and backgrounds, and they take center stage as importance is placed on earning their loyalty however you can to ensure that they are locked in and give your crew the best chance of survival. The combat system has 6 different classes that you can specialize in, with each of course giving very different experiences across the missions. Speaking of which, the mission design in this game is incredible, with each mission being very unique to one another and always offering you decisions to be made. I will say, the climactic mission in this game is one of the best and most personal experiences you can have in gaming. For me, it might just be the magnum opus of video games to date. As an enormous fan of RPGs, this one has everything I could ever want, and for that reason, it is my most cherished game ever.
Come on, Joker. We have to get out of here.
No, I won't abandon the Normandy. I can still save her.
The Normandy's lost. Going down with the ship won't change that.
Yeah, okay. Help me up. They're coming around for another attack.